Tabs on tabs on tabs. We're all used to it. You got content and you want your team to review it, but it's living in multiple tools, making it hard for your team to navigate and consume your info without getting lost. In this video, I'll walk you through how to get your teams more organized and efficient on Coda with features like commenting, suggest edits, full page embeds, one of my favorites, at mentions, where you can at mention pages, things, people, and we'll wrap up by talking about sharing controls. Let's take a look. One of Coda's solutions to all that tab switching fatigue and inevitable misalignment are page embeds. In Coda Docs, you can have pages of your docs that are embedded from other tools like Figma, Miro, Google Sheets, Canva, Mode, and that's honestly just to name a few. You'll be able to interact with them, and edits will be captured in the original tool as well. So when might you use page embeds? Well, maybe you're working on a new email series for your customers. You've got a doc where you're tracking the progress in Coda, you're workshopping the content, but you're using Miro for mapping out all of the customer journey and then Figma to mock up your emails. You also have a crucial dashboard with customer data in Mode. You can pull all of these into one doc so you and your team have everything in one place. Now, another scenario, you're working on creating a new role in your team. You've got the job description mapped out in Coda along with the hiring timeline, but your finance team uses Google Sheets for planning your hiring budget. There's no way you want to tackle that conversation right now about switching over to Coda, so you just pull into your Coda doc an embedded page from that sheet, and now you have everything in one place to be able to send off to your manager for approval. And when I make changes in this sheet, the updates will happen automatically in the original tool too. Not only will this bring information into one place, it also cuts down on the number of licenses you might need for other tools. So let's go ahead and add a new embedded page to your doc. Now, if you don't see the list of pages over here on the left-hand side, all you need to do is click this Show Pages icon, and it'll expand those options. And then over here on the left, you're going to see the list of pages, and at the bottom, you should see an option to add a new page. If you just simply click this plus, it's going to add a new blank, just regular Coda page. But if we wanted to add a new embedded page, we can click this arrow here, and it's going to give you two options. New sync page is if you want to add a page from another Coda doc, and new page embed is if you want to add a outside tool as a page into your Coda doc. So we're going to click on that, and you can see it comes up with a number of options here. You can select from any of these tools, or you can try pasting the link in here as well. You will need to make sure that there are appropriate permissions set up for whatever tool it is that you are embedding. You may also need the embedded link from the tool that you're adding as well. All right, let's stick with this previous example of working on a hiring proposal in Coda, and I'll show you a few more features to help with collaboration. In Coda Docs, you can use @mention for mentioning people, tables, pages, and even rows of a table. If you hover over it, I can see the content being referenced. So @mentioning people, it's going to send them a notification, and @mention content help ensures your doc is easy to navigate and understand. This hiring proposal that I'm working on, I'm sending off to my boss, who I know isn't using Coda. So I want to make sure things are as easy as possible so they're in a good mood and approve my new headcount requests. So I'm going to make a little welcome page with some information here to help them navigate the doc. We're going to use @mentions to give them some context about where to find things in the doc. So to do this, I'm going to simply just start typing @. And you can see this brings up all of the things that I could @mention, whether they're people or content. I'm going to choose this job description page. And if I right click on it, I can click on display as and choose to display this content in a variety of different ways. You can see there are options for displaying it as a URL or as a card view. Now here, I'm going to @mention some of the team that's working on this doc with me. So I'm going to @mention my colleagues Maggie and Thomas. And again, you can see if I hover over that, I can see what access level Maggie has. I can also see Maggie's email contact as well. Now, as I build out this doc, I want to think through how my audience, which is my tech illiterate boss, is going to use the doc. So rather than giving her free reign editing access, I'm probably going to set her sharing permissions as a commenter so she can still share her feedback with me. More on that in a little bit, because first I want to get some feedback from my counterpart. So I'm going to ask Maggie to add some suggest changes in this doc before I send it to my boss. So I'm going to pop up here to the sharing settings. And sharing in Coda is very similar to other tools, where what you can do in a doc depends on the sharing access you have and also what license role you have. Now, it's important to note that sharing applies to the entire doc and not individual pages. And so if you think when you're sharing, you're on a specific page that you were just sharing that doc, that's not the case, at the moment at least. There are 4 different sharing permissions for docs. There's no access, self-explanatory. There's view-only access. So that means no matter your role, you can only view the content in this particular doc. You can't change anything or make updates, but people without Coda accounts can view docs if they have the link and the sharing permission is set to be viewable, and your administrative team has allowed people outside of your organization to be able to view content. Comment only. You can click on different pages, you can expand content, you can play videos, but you can't make any changes to the doc. You will only be able to add comments. The most liberal setting is editing. This means that you can make changes in the doc, which is great. You can edit content, you can add tables, text, buttons, etc., but only makers and not editors. Makers will be able to add new pages to the doc. You'll find some additional share settings up in here, including being able to limit who can adjust the share settings on your doc and the ability for you to be able to share it with our support team. Now, there are some additional restrictions that we have that you can enable called locking. We're not going to go into that right now because it adds a layer of complexity, but if you ever see a lock symbol up in the top right of your doc, that means that there is some locking enabled on the doc. All right, so back to Maggie and getting feedback from Maggie. Because I need Maggie to be able to suggest changes, I'm going to share the doc with her so she has editing access. But I'm going to put a note in here asking Maggie to just suggest some changes or suggest edits. Let's see what that process looks like on Maggie's end of adding some suggested changes. So Maggie's going to go ahead and she's going to highlight the text that she wants to change. And she's going to click on that little pencil icon here that comes up in the text formatting to start suggesting changes. She'll be in this mode of suggesting changes until she exits it up here at the top. When she's in this mode, she can type, she can delete, she can adjust the content to capture her suggestions. So looking back on my end, I can approve or deny those changes. This doesn't trigger notification or anything like that, so I can accept or deny what feedback she has. Okay, I've gotten feedback from my teammate. I think I'm feeling ready to share this with my boss, so let's go ahead and share it with her. We're going to come back up to the share settings, and this time I'm actually going to change it so that anyone in my workspace can comment. And I'm choosing this in case my boss needs to have anyone else look at it. This is going to give her the access that she needs, but I don't want her and everyone else to have edit access, so commenting is perfect. But in this scenario, Maggie is still going to retain her editing permissions even though she is in the workspace. So the sharing permissions are going to honor these nuances and go with whatever is the most granular. Okay, so I'm actually going to grab the link for this doc by clicking that copy link button here, and I'm going to send this over email and Slack, so it's a little more formal. And since she wouldn't get a sharing notification since I'm sharing it with everyone on the workspace. When you turn on sharing or adjust with everyone on the workspace, it's not going to fire off a notification to everybody in the workspace. But if I added my boss individually here and I adjusted the messaging and said that I did want her to get a notification, she would. So she can access this doc by clicking on the link that I'm going to send her, or she'll also be able to find it in her workspace. So let's take a look at what her experience is of adding comments to the doc. She'll have a few different ways that she can add comments. And now what she's doing here is she's highlighting what she wants to add a comment to. And because she only has commenting access, you can see that she can just click here and add a comment. Now, if you do have editing access, when you highlight text, it's going to pull up the whole text editor. And you'll see on the right-hand side of that text editor is the ability to be able to add a comment. So you can do that, or you can go over to the right-hand side here and click the little chat bubble to add a comment. And once she presses send, I, as the doc owner, I'm going to get a notification for all of the comments that she adds because I'm the doc owner. But if anyone else is mentioned in the comments, they're also going to be notified. And there's some additional settings that you can set up about notifications. Come up here to the top right. Now, she can also add comments to just text like she did, or she can add comments to tables. She can right-click on this row and click to add a comment. She can also open up the row, and if the row layout is set up to be able to add comments below, she can do that too. So last thing on my end, before I wrap up this project, is that I want to spend some time reviewing the comments. I can see the comment by expanding comments up at the top. But I can also tell that there are comments by looking for the yellow highlights of the text or the little yellow triangles in table rows. Now, when I open up the row, you may also see the current comments or previous comments right there in the row view. And I can react, I can respond, and I can resolve these comments as well. Encouraging your users to take advantage of comments are really helpful for those that might be a little trepidatious to touch Coda if they haven't had a chance to go in there, but still allows them to participate in sharing feedback and your doc building process. Comments, suggest changes, app mentions, and full page embeds are just a few of the collaborative features that we have to help you create a collaborative tool that works for you. Now, Coda is a team sport, and docs are meant to be collaborative. So go ahead and share that doc with your team, even if it isn't fully polished yet. And as always, if you have questions, hop down to either that question mark or the light bulb, whatever it is that you see, and let us know how we can support you.